Hey, what's up, everybody? What's going on? What's up, YouTube? What's up, Facebook? This is the Bearded Man Chronicle. This is episode 7. Let's talk children. I hope everyone had an amazing day. Before I go in today's content, I have to introduce my amazing panel to you guys. You know, I don't do this by myself. So, by further ado, let me introduce my first panel. This is the beautiful Sheena. What's up, baby? How you feeling?
Hi, hello everybody. Hey, what's up,
What's going
KJ?
on? Not much. All right,
Hey.
next we have Gio. What's
What's
up,
up,
bro?
everybody?
What's going on
Hey,
with you?
good to see everybody again.
Hey, good to see
Likewise,
you.
likewise. Last but not least, we have Shay. What's up, sweetheart? What's
Hey,
going on
what's
with
going
you?
on, everyone?
How
Hello,
y'all feeling?
hello, pretty.
Amazing.
Really,
Good.
really. So, before we actually go into today's episode, I want everyone to know to follow me on YouTube at the Bearded Man Chronicles. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Most importantly, hit the bell at the top so you guys it's notified when I drop new content. So,
Hey,
as you guys
Elijah.
know, you said what?
Oh, I was saying hi to Elijah. He said hello, everyone.
Hey, what's
Hey,
going on? What's going
Elijah.
on?
Hey, Elijah.
Um, Before we go into, we always start off with an icebreaker. And so today's icebreaker will be if you had a chance to interview any influential person, it can be a celebrity, politician, it can be anybody. Who would it be? And I'm going to start with Geo.
I knew you picked me first. My brain went two places at once when you asked the question. The one part of me was like Michael Jackson because that'd be weird and interesting, and then there's more like Barack. So those would be my two sides of the spectrum.
Okay.
Want to be a little more serious. I want to be like, what, child? Anyway, Sheena, what you got?
I would probably say Nipsey Hussle.
Ooh,
I
okay.
think that, yeah, he had a lot to offer. I just hate that his life was cut so short, but he was real well rounded. So I like that about him. I hate I found out so many things so late though. But yeah, probably Nipsey. Well, and Shay, what about you?
Michelle Obama.
Okay.
Hands down. And if it wasn't her, Barack.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love it.
If it was up to me, I'll say two people. It would be Michelle Obama and Janet Jackson.
I'm not. That
Okay.
doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
So, y'all, let's dive into it. So, this is episode 7. Let's talk children. So, in this episode, we're gonna discuss a plethora of things. We're gonna talk about how children are in today's society. We're gonna talk about mental health. We're gonna talk about immunization talk. That's something big with children. With all of the COVID stuff going on. Um, so, I'm gonna start off just by asking you guys this question: in comparison to the children of yesteryear and the children of today's society, how are the children different? What would you say the differences between the two? Because there's a huge gap in how I'll say my era was raised into like this whole new school. Sheena, kind of tell us the difference. Let us kind of take us how you were raised and tell us what's different in today's society, the children in
Okay.
today's society.
Absolutely. Thanks for asking. So I would have to say the amount of things that the children are exposed to. You know, a lot of times now the parents are working a lot, so the children have a lot of time without supervision or parental guidance, and so they're learning a lot of things on their own, and some things good and some things not so good. But I would say, just being exposed to so many different things, especially with all the technology and devices that the kids are allowed to have now. Even the fast food industry, it was a treat for us to get McDonald's growing up, and we would run there fast in case mom changed her mind. And now it's like a really big thing for the kids to have access to fast food and things like that. What do you think, Gio?
I agree with you. Yeah, they're exposed to just so much more stuff, and that comes a big part with social media. Growing up, we did not have no Facebooks, no Instagrams, none of that. And I think like growing up with that in my life, I don't know, it'd be a different childhood for sure. The internet and just cameras in general have exposed so many things and brought so much to the light that like we normally wouldn't see. So
That's
It's definitely been a game changer. Shay, what do you think?
The level of respect. We was taught to say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir.
Exactly.
You see elderly people, you get quiet. You definitely. I mean, I can't. I didn't start using profanity until I was an adult. Like even in high school, I didn't curse. I wasn't sexually active in high school. I lost my virginity in college. It was so many different levels to what we see now. The age of mothers drastically made a huge change, which caused a major gap in mothering and fathering. When I say mothers, not just moms, but I'm saying parenting period. The gaps were so different than what they were when we grew up. Our parents, when we was 1 and 2, was in their 40s, versus to parents when their children are 1 and 2, they're still 17, 18, 20, so they haven't had a chance to mature. And unfortunately, their immaturity is brought up into their children, so definitely respect. Definitely. If I had to pick one thing that we lacked versus to what they lacked as children, it would be respect.
I agree. Thanks.
I
Thanks
have
for
to
sharing.
I have to piggyback off what Sharon said about the whole respect thing. We were raised, well, I was raised by some my grandparents. At the time, I thought my grandmother was so strict. I mean, I'm like, we have to ride on the sidewalk at 17. Boy, you better get out the street. No, I'm exaggerating, but we were raised like we had 21 games that we played on the porch. We had rock teacher.
Mhm.
We played Mr. Fox, Simon Says. We played basketball. The room was right in the street. I mean, she was reluctant to let us play in the street, but we played. We did things that kids should do, and I think now you have children raising children, and the whole family dynamic and structure is totally different. Um, Whereas when I was growing up, I was in a household where my grandmother was the homemaker. My grandfather provided, but my grandmother had a house full of children. But I can
Mhm.
always remember us not going without though, and off the time I'm like, wow, my grandmother had a house full of kids, but my we never went out food. Utilities wasn't um, turned off or anything. I just think there's just a total different dynamic. And plus social media plays a major factor in that. We didn't have Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that. And even if we did, my grandma wasn't paying for no internet.
Okay.
She barely was paying for a dryer. we had we had 50 clotheslines in the basement. So
Better dial up on that AOL.
right. So things are like just totally different. And as I'm talking about social media, how do you think social media plays a role in how children are today, as it relates to their interpersonal skills? I personally feel that kids are desperately lacking those interpersonal skills. I mean, kids parents let their children stay in their room all day playing the game. Don't come out, barely shower, barely eat, but they playing these games. But then in the real world, they don't know how to communicate. What is your perspective on children interpersonal skills as it relates to having all this access to social media, Shay?
I'm gonna have to go with I don't think it necessarily plays a big factor in their communication skills. I'll say that because my son is a great communicator. I mean, I can only go off of me. I can only go off of what I did in my home. He's a huge NBA player. Like when I say every time a new game came out, that's exactly what he wanted, and it came out always around his birthday in September. So he will always get all the NBA 2012 or 13, and NFL 2012 or 13. But he's a great communicator. I think it has a lot to do again with the parenting style, where they can play these games and entertain themselves. Um, but they also can have those skills where they can communicate. I don't blame it on necessarily the social media thing, because we have to evolve and life evolves. Everything in life evolves, and we couldn't stay in the 1990s forever. So we had to realize as we get older, things will change, and we wanted to change for the best. I think unfortunately, we need to get that person out of our communication. So I think at the end of the day, it just depends on, who, and how you raise them at the end of the day. Yeah, I want that person out of here.
I'm gonna piggy off of. We just keep it positive and keep it moving.
Okay.
I'm gonna piggy off of you, Shay. I agree with you. I think a lot of people like to throw it on the video games, and my kid, because of the
Mm-hmm.
video games. Like, I think that's bullshit. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's really about the parenting style, how you raise them, what kind of values you instill in them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the video games. People watch movies where they kill people all the time
Yep.
and blow up shit. Don't mean you want to do it, right?
Yep.
It's really how you were raised. So, and I think kids can still have personal skills. If
Mm-hmm.
they play video games, I play video games. I have no problem communicating.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna just kick that to the side. And we have kids now who are streaming live and have thousands of people watching them
Mm-hmm.
play video games. Like,
Sure do.
it's a different scene now. So yeah, it just really comes down to the parenting style, and also setting rules and boundaries. Like, you can play the game from such and such time, but other times you're going to read or you're going to do other things too, and that just comes back around to just having good parenting. So, and
And not
making
necessarily
family
good
time important.
parenting. I think having a diverse parenting. You know what I'm saying? Because like I was just telling one of my homegirls, like parenting doesn't come with a book. You don't know like what's good or bad. It's kind of like
True.
trial and error. But you know what I'm saying? Everybody's parenting skill is totally different. And I think when you have children, it's that really thin line where if you make a mistake and do something, it can literally tarnish and they can go down this rabbit hole. It just really kind of depends on, where you're going with it. So
Right.
I wouldn't necessarily blame social media. Sheena?
Yeah, I think sometimes the children do lack interpersonal skills and communication depending on what they've been exposed to. That's just in, that's
I
just been
agree.
my experience. I'm not a parent, I only can
Mm-hmm.
speak from obviously observing and
Yep.
some of the things that my friends, some of the gripes that they have about their children. So yeah, I agree with both you guys though. It depends on the parenting style and what you allow the children to do, because you should still monitor certain things about them, even small things like don't bring any devices to the dinner table, or just whatever you instill in your children. So that's true. But yeah, some of these kids, they definitely lack communication and interpersonal skills, and they look forward to their phone. I'm guilty of it too. I'll check my phone. I saw something one day that said, I didn't even know if I can walk today, but I checked my phone as soon as I woke up. So we're guilty of it. It's like a really big deal,
Right.
to be exposed to a lot of the social media and having access to devices. But what you think, KJ?
Like I stated, I think it kills the interpersonal skills to me of a child. I think it kills the intellect of a child. I think that it can be. So I'm not a parent, and it's just my perspective. If if I was a parent, I wouldn't allow my kids to have a shooting game. I wouldn't. I just, to me, I wouldn't do that. I mean, I know some people who, just because you have a shooting game doesn't mean they're going to be a shooter or killer. I just wouldn't want to expose my children to certain things early on. I think, I, I believe a lot of parents, a lot of households have a single parent household. So they try to find things that would keep their child occupied
Mm-hmm.
while they doing other things. So they go out and get the games that's popular, or something that's going to keep that child mind on something while they cook dinner, or maybe go to school online, or maybe work online. They doing certain things, but
Yep.
I do believe that it have both a positive and a negative effect. And from experience and people that I know, I see that it being a little more negative than it has than positive. Let's go to the comments.
Yeah.
What's up?
I'm gonna
What's,
comment on that though after with these comments.
I was
okay.
going to comment on it too.
Okay.
Right.
Um,
'Cause,
all right, don't cuss me out, y'all. Hold on. What's up, Edward? What's going
Marcus
on?
says social media accessibility exposure plays a part. Elijah say yes, Shay, period. Edwards 94 says beautiful people, much love to you kings and queens. Elijah also says straight up old school, raised over here. When the street lights came on, your ass was in the house or in the front yard. One or
Exactly.
the other. Yeah. That's true. Indeed, Shay, it's the parents and what the parents install in the children or in the child. That's true. Thanks for
Exactly. So,
sharing, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for interacting with us.
what was you about to drop, Gio? I know you was ready to try to.
Yeah, I was ready for you. I was. Here's the thing, and I would love to hear you guys' opinion on this too. I think sometimes, parents want to shelter their kids from the world. And I think there's some benefits to that in some extent. But I also feel like when you shelter them too much, that they don't know how to understand things. I actually had a friend this weekend when I was in Atlanta who was telling me that he wished his parents had exposed him to death a little bit more. Like when things would happen or people would pass away, they always sheltered him away from it. They didn't really talk about it. And so now he's older and now people are passing away more frequently and he doesn't know how to really deal with it now like other people. And so I just said that to say, like, I think sometimes as much as you want to keep the kids safe, you have to let them know what's out there and what's going on. And the reality is that even if you are not telling them about it, their friends are. So that killer game that you don't want them to play, when they're at their friend's house, they're playing the game. Mm-hmm. And so I would much rather talk about whatever it is and say, hey, you want to play this shooter game? Okay, well, let's talk about it. And do we understand the difference between this is a video game and what is real life? And just going about it that way, as opposed to like, don't touch that, don't look at that, because you're going to be doing shit that they're going to see that, wouldn't fall under those same guidelines. You're going to watch a movie where somebody's shooting up the bank, doing the money heist, whatever, So I don't know. I think communication with kids is so important, and to be honest and transparent and understand that, you don't have it all figured out, but we'll figure it out together. We'll talk about it. So that's my piece. Mm-hmm. Shay, please.
So I actually had two things. One thing was, I remember when my son, he was going to this party, and it was a cowboy party, and they had the little waistband things, and they had the guns in them. And I told the lady who was hosting the party, I said, well, he can't have the gun. He can have the waistband thing, or what is it called?
Holster.
The holster. Yeah. Okay. He can have the holster, but he can't have the gun. Okay. And she said, well, it's fake and yada, yada, yada. And I said, I get it. McCullen wasn't allowed to play with guns, water guns, fake guns, toy guns. However, bounce back off Geo, I explained to him why he couldn't play with guns. And he's 18 now, and he's not interested in guns. I've had guns in my home for protection, and he's never touched them. He's not inquisitive about them, because I explained to him why I didn't want him to play with them. I didn't shun him away or cover it up or not tell him about it. You definitely have to expose him to it, because at the end of the day, if you don't, like Gio said, someone will. Now, on the flip side, with the games allowing him to play so much, at one point in my life, I was a single mom. Unfortunately, I had to work nights. He was younger. I had to get cameras installed. I had to get speakers installed so that we could talk to each other. So it kind of gives you a sense of security when it's a Saturday at 3:00 and your kid is playing these video games at home, because you have to work and you have no choice. You know what I'm saying? So we are living in an age now where parents are more single parent homes than it is 2-parent homes. And you have to find something that's going to give you peace to say, hey, at least my kid isn't out here in the street. I'll take all day you playing video games versus to me trying to call your phone and you're laying on the side of the road dead because you're into something that you shouldn't be into at 13 years old. So games is kind of a savior to some parents versus to really a harm. That's my experience, not my opinion. That's my experience.
Calvin Sharp says, speak, Georgie. Elijah says, speak that, Gio. Mocha Den says, agree, Gio. Being too sheltered can cause future problems.
Okay.
I agree.
But okay, so since you guys talking about, you should have communication with your child and all of this stuff, and what age do you think is fitting to talk about sex with your child?
That varies.
Yeah.
Because some kids are very sexually fluent, where, 13, you can talk to them. And then you got some kids who they could care less, and you can wait until 18. It just really depends on the kid.
That's true. I think 18, you're going to set your kids up for failure, because like you said, somebody said, I can't remember, if you don't talk to them about them, the kids in school gonna talk to them about it.
That's
And
very true. But I have a girlfriend right now whose daughter's 18. And when I tell you she ain't thinking about sex, she's not thinking about sex. Some kids just don't think about it like that. And it's
she,
not on their, I'm not saying you
well, no,
can't talk to them,
yeah,
but I'm saying that if she waited until she was 18, it wouldn't have harmed her either way
but
because she's just not into it.
just because she's not sexually active doesn't mean that she's learning certain. You know what I mean? I think it's best to have that talk with your kids. I talk to you about it versus the person out on the street, or introducing you. Not saying that you have to be sexually active, but I believe a conversation needs to be held where you can prepare children. Not saying like back then it was what, the birds and the bees. Is that still the name? Now the world is so evolved. Is it the birds and the birds and the bees and the bees, or whatever it is?
It's WAP and Blues Clues. I don't know,
Right. But I think that it's important to. I can honestly say I would sit down between the age of, if I had a child, 12, 12 and up, I would sit down and talk to them and let them know this is what this is for. I'm not going to tell you, hey, a stork dropped you off as a baby on the doorstep and you was wrapped in swallowing clothes and they rung the doorbell and you know, this is how you was, conceived, and this is what, and this. And yeah, I think it's important. Me personally, I think that pre-adolescent, that pre-teen age of 12, because I can remember when I was 12 and stuff, and I started noticing changes with my body, and I'm like, well, what the hell, what the hell is this? What's going on? What is this? You know, I'm experiencing. What is this? And then I found out, oh shoot, I had sat up here and had a wet dream. You know what I mean? I didn't know because nobody talked to us about it. I'm like, well, what's going on? I peed on myself?
But you don't think sometimes you can say stuff that can make a person interested in something that they're not interested in?
Nope. I
I
did.
mean, I wasn't sexually active till I was 19. And my mama didn't talk to me about sex. But I didn't, and I heard about it, and I knew that boys and girls did stuff, but I didn't know how it was processed. But I still wasn't interested. So it wasn't until I became an adult that I became more like, okay, well, I kind of want to know more. I just feel like it depends on your kid and the level of your child because you can turn a light bulb on that they don't even have twisted. That they light socket is completely clueless, and you put that bulb in there and turn it on, instantly okay, well, I want to know what this light talking about
But this not
versus
19.
to just playing it by ear.
I agree with you, but this is not 1990 anymore when you was growing up. This is 2022. We in a totally different time and era. 14 year like I don't know of any 14-year-old children having kids when I was growing up. Nowadays it's common if a 14-year-old say that, it's like, oh, okay. But when I was growing up, it was like, dang, 14 having a baby, 15, 16. Now with my mother era, it was okay, and then I feel like it skipped some generations in my era. I didn't know a lot about it. I didn't know anybody was 14 having kids. We live in a different time. And when I tell you social media will expose, I wouldn't want my child to be exposed by something and not come from me. What you think about it, Sheena?
Well, so my mom had five girls, and to my
Dang.
understanding, I would have to have my sisters to keep me honest on this, but I believe we all were put on contraceptives at 14 years old. And I
Really?
think that had a lot to do with her life experiences because she was married by 17 and had her first child by 17. So I guess she felt like she didn't want us to ruin our lives early or whatever she would consider it. But she put us all on birth control early. Now,
Wow.
and whether we were having sex or not, she didn't even ask the doctor. She didn't even want to know. She just was like, well, here, this is what you need to do in case you decide to. And I can't say that that's a good thing. I can't say that it's a bad thing. But what I can say is I have five sisters and only two of us have children. So I don't know
Wow.
what that means. You know what I mean? Michelle says I work in labor and deliver on the labor and delivery floor. We've had girls as young as 12 pregnant. Sex have no age limit. So as parents, we should know who we're raising and simply know when to have that conversation.
Hmm.
Elijah says an early age is 12 and you should talk to your kids about sex. KJ is right. My dad really never talked to me and my brother. And seriously, I learned by sneaking into my dad's porn for real.
Dang, that's how it
Steven
happened.
said, think about how sexual music is. You better talk to him.
Exactly. You're right,
Yep.
Stephen, because you know what they say that the eyes and ears is the window to the soul and stuff. And you know, kids can be they influenced by so much nowadays. They got the Instagrams, the Facebook, they got all of these social platforms and things. And you know, kids are really influenced by a lot of things. And I just wouldn't want to put my child through that. I would want to have that conversation because what happens, you know, it builds a rapport. You know, I don't ever want my child to sneak in or sneak out the house. You know, I think we need to have a conversation. So at what age you think your child should date? You'll let your child date. Geo. Because it look like you're ready to cook.
Um, I want to say like 16. I don't know. That might be too old.
16 in 2022?
You said date. Like, I mean,
Well, make
I
sure
don't
you
know.
nail your window shut because they're gonna be sneaking out.
They might be. But I mean, I don't. But to kind of go back to what we were talking about, like, I think it's the most important thing is to have a safe space to where your kids feel comfortable communicating with you.
Exactly.
You and again, it depends on the kid's maturity level, but you know, you may ask them, say, you know, what do you know about sex? You know, and they may say, I don't know, whatever. And they're like, you know, I might probably be like, well, if you ever have any questions about it, you know, I'm here. We can talk about it. I'll tell you the ins and outs. You know, if you ever wonder, you know, I'm always here. So I don't know. I just think it depends on the kid's maturity level as far as dating.
Exactly.
Having raised kids, Shay, what'd you say
Which question are you asking?
about the age for the dating?
Being a mom of a boy, I think it definitely plays on the sex. The boy and the girl got a big deal, and I didn't understand it until I had my own kid. Um, Boys, unfortunately, you let them get away with a little bit more than you do with girls. So I will probably start letting him date at 14, where he's, can come and talk to me comfortably. The good thing about me is I am that mom that I created an open space, like Gio said. I didn't go talk to my son at 12 and he's 18 and in college full time, got a full time job taking care of himself, and he has no children. So I didn't talk to him at 12. Like I said, parenting has no book. It's just you kind of have to go with your kid. And I think our first conversation of sex was 16. When I set him down and said, hey, if you feel comfortable and you want to talk about it, I'm here for you. But I don't want you to get it from anybody else. Dating, same thing. He started dating at, I want to say 15. And I started allowing his girlfriend to come over at 16.
Okay.
Sheena?
That's great. Michelle says, hey, y'all, I have three boys. Gio said it. Let's not shelter them. But as a parent of three boys, my husband and I, we choose to do things by age and maturity and what our sons would like to do. So
Okay.
that's cool. I'm not a parent, but I would say, like you say, create a safe space, Gio, so that they can be honest or at least let you in on some things before trying to experience things on their own with dating. So if chaperoned, maybe first date 15, 16, I don't know, 14, 15. It all depends on them. I'm with Mickey. It depends on the maturity of the child, you know.
Mm-hmm.
If
Right.
I feel like you're ready, then hey, let's, if you want to meet some friends or open up some things about yourself, let's do that. But let's have a conversation and see what level we need to start at. So,
I
what
think
about you, KJ?
I'll start between 7th and 8th grade. Chaperone. All date chaperone. No coming over, but if you guys want to go to the mall and go to a movie, as long as the chaperone is there, I don't mind. If you guys want to talk on the phone from the time from say you get out of school at 3, if you guys want to talk between the hours of 5 and 7, that's fine. The phone gonna be checked in. If you're at home, there's no need for you to have in my opinion, if you at home, there's no need for you to have your phone. So I'll let you talk between 5 and 7. You know, I think that's appropriate to you're able. I'm not taking anything from you. I'm not sheltering you. It's just that hey, you want to hang out, but for spending the night at parents' house, I don't know if I would do that. Um, I don't know about how I feel about that. Spend a night at because that's I can remember we did a lot of stuff. Hey, we begged my sister, hey, we gonna go over here, and we actually went there. We was out, you know,
Mm-hmm.
taking my friend's mama car and going over to different, people houses and doing our thing. We were,
Yeah.
yeah, and so anything could have happened. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm not gonna, I wouldn't shelter them, but for sure, I mean, seventh, eighth grade, yeah, because you're going to high school, and I think you're going to high school. Um, you're gonna be exposed to a lot of stuff. I don't want you to get to high school and then lose your mind. I feel like a lot of people get to high school because it's not like middle school. People shelter their children. They get to high school and just get lost because now you see a smorgasbord of people, a lot of different people where you didn't see, and you're treated differently in high school versus middle school. They don't really babysit you in high school like they do. Hey, Sheena, did you turn in your spelling assignment? Gio, what about your math assignment? Shay, did you do? It's like you either you do your stuff and it show. I do believe maturity plays a role with that as well, but for sure if my child, son or daughter say, hey, I wouldn't call it a relationship, but I mean I'm not oblivious to the fact that they're attracted and they want to go out on a date. That's cool.
Got a
Chaperone.
question.
Okay.
I got a question. Sheena, how old was you when you first started dating? Whether you thought it was serious, whether you thought it wasn't, how old were you when you started crushing or dating a boy?
14. I went on
Okay.
my first movie date. 14.
Gio?
Okay.
I'm trying to remember shit. It's 80 years ago. Um, I probably was 16, 17, to be
Okay.
honest.
KJ?
I think it was probably my girlfriend Deanna. I don't know. I think I was 17, 18 because
Okay.
Larice, my sister, took us.
Love it.
Yeah, she took us, and yeah, but I went on dates before that though, but like that was like my kind of serious like. But yeah, I went on dates. I would say about 16. It's like you said, it's different for boys. Like you remember when the Michigan Fun Center was open, we'd go up there on 8 Mile, the go karts. They had pizza. Girls would meet us there back then, and we'll be there just in that centralized place, go karts, playing arcades, eating pizza. So it was different then. Now you kind of gotta be careful. You got sex trafficking now going on, so you don't want to have them out too much and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, so I guess it really just depends on that
It's just
maturity,
times have changed. So
most
look at
definitely.
the gap of years, and we're talking about, we dated when we was 14, 15. My first legal date where I was allowed to go out the house with a guy, I was 18. It was no date prior to that. Like I couldn't go out, I couldn't hang out, I could. So when I got to college with my best friend, oh my God, it was so much stuff that I didn't know anything about because my mom totally sheltered me. She didn't tell me anything. So that's why, like, I wanted my son to just be almost like free spirited. I just wanted him to just make that comfortable space. Talk to me. I'm your mom. He respected me, but I'm
Mhm.
also that person that if you decide you want to do anything first, I'm your girl that you can talk to.
Cool.
So
Yeah, I was ninth grade and he was a senior, so yeah, we would have movie dates and stuff. He had a car and everything.
okay.
Ooh,
But
okay.
yeah,
What a big
Hold
Elijah,
up.
home.
Elijah, that's it. Said in my household it was 16, but to this day it's so different because the kids are more sneakier and have different mindsets, and sex is more of an exposure for them, and it's in era.
Hmm.
Michelle says, I agree with you, Shay. 14 is good. My son is currently dating now, but as long as he knows that education and chores is first,
Hey,
respect is very important.
that's what's
That's
up.
true, Mickey.
To the viewers, if you could be so kind to please Facebook and YouTube, make sure you sharing this video, please. Go to the top and please Facebook, make sure you guys share this video, YouTube. We greatly
Like,
appreciate it.
share it.
Since Michelle said something about college, she said something about education and her child and chores. Um, when it comes to education with your child, do you feel that you should force school and college down your child's throat? Sheena.
Uh, I believe that higher education and things are important, but it all depends on what kind of child you have. Some people are just really good at the things that they do. Like I have a little cousin who was able to break down a computer when he was like 10 years old. He was able to put stuff together that was like, how did you figure that out? And to this day, he's really good with computers, but he didn't go to college. You know what I mean? So I think some things are instilled and some things you learn along the way. And I think it depends on, what interests you and, what you want to make a life out of. Sometimes we go to college, and I have so many friends that went to college and to get a degree in something, and that's not even the field that they're working in, because unfortunately you don't know how much you're going to like a job or a career path until you get in it. I tried nursing school and realized I had a weak stomach, so I had to cut that short and go into health information management. So I think it just all depends. I think nowadays, for me, education is important, and I'm really much interested in the company that wants to help pay for my school, and I don't want to go into any more debt about it. But I wouldn't shove anything down my children's throat. It would depend on the conversation and what route we're taking. But we're not just going to sit at home and do nothing. You know, we'll figure it out. What about you, Gio?
I agree with you. I actually think that it really depends on the type of child that you have. There are some kids who need that kind of like roadmap to, their whatever they think they want to be, and then there are other ones who are maybe more creative and their talents lie in other places that maybe a degree wouldn't help them. And also, we live in a world where it's really not so much what you have; it's who you know. And so I don't know. I don't think I would enforce it. But I think we would discuss options. Sometimes you can learn a good trade that puts you in a great industry and saves you $40,000 to $60,000. So let's explore options. Let's explore what you want to do. Let's explore what you really enjoy doing,
Right.
and see what's out there. So I wouldn't. I don't think that's the only way. I think for some people it's like this is it. This is what you got to do. You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to do that. And I don't believe that anymore. I think that's kind of, and I might get flack for this, but I feel like it's kind of old school mentality. Like the world is different, things move different. There's more options now ever than before. So Shay, take it away.
Yeah, I don't force. I'm free spirit, free wings. However, definitely, Sheena, I told my son, you can do whatever you choose to, but it won't be under my roof if you decide that you don't want to go and take up a trade or go to school. Like, I wasn't going to make him go to college because when I tell you college isn't for everyone, but it was definitely not a shove. It was his option, his choice. And if he had a chose to work and not go to school or take a trade, perfectly fine with me. He just couldn't live with me and do that. That was the agreement. So,
Okay.
yep,
Understood.
yep.
What about you, KJ?
For me, I think if you in my household, you have to do something. You're gonna do something. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily give my child an option about school. You're gonna have to do something. If you're going to school, you're either gonna get a degree, you get a certification, but you're going to school. So I would ask the question. So okay, you're going to school. Do you want to do the degree or you want to do the certification? I'm not gonna give my child that. I feel like a kid, they don't know what they want. And I just, even though I got my degrees later in life, I just still think that had I went directly, even though I feel like I'm at a very good place, I think I would be much further along. That's just my opinion, as far as that. But I wouldn't necessarily give my kid a choice. You're gonna do one or the other, and which one is that? So you want the degree, or you're gonna go for certification, but you're going to school, period.
Yeah.
And
You're
so
going to do
yeah,
something.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of times when you give kids these choices and leave it up to them, I think they make decisions that they don't even know what's best for them. I think as parents, and when I say parent, you don't necessarily have to be birth a child or make a child, but if you've raised a nephew or been instrumental in a niece, nephew, or cousin life, I think that it's important to not give kids a lot of choices, but kind of like tell them and direct them. Oh, these are the options instead of saying, "Well, what do you think?" They don't know, which
And
what to
they'll thank
think
you for it later. That's for sure.
for sure.
It may seem like you're
They
being
know
rough on
something
them, but
though.
they'll thank you for it.
They're not robots. They know something. It's okay to have those conversations, like just to
Yeah.
get a
Right.
feel.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So let's kind of direct this part um, into medicine, right? Um, let's talk immunizations, right? COVID. They're trying to come out with a vaccine to get children vaccinated. What are you guys' perspectives on immunizations? Do you believe in them? What do you think about that? Because some people don't believe in modern medicine at all, um, and I understand. I personally disagree with it. It amazes me how, and this is where schooling does come important, where schooling comes into play. It behooves me how so many people have all of these things in their mind and whatever. They don't have a science degree to first, but they so quick to go against science. And I understand people have their own different beliefs and stuff like that. But I can remember as a kid, I was had all my immunizations. You couldn't even go to preschool without your immunizations. Well, now a lot of parents are even kind of scared to give their children the normal things. What's that, like polio and TB and stuff like that? Some parents just now they just don't trust. What are your opinion and your perspective on parents who go against modern day medicine? Shay.
I respect everyone's opinion with that. Me personally, I am borderline. I'm teeter tottering on this whole thing. I definitely believe in immunizations, but that kind of goes back to schooling. I went to school for healthcare. I worked in the hospital for 8 years. I got the flu shot. I'm okay with that. I think God places people here for different reasons. I think medicine is something that has has its ups and downs and has made people not trust the government in so many ways because they are very untrustworthy, and they're not honest all the time. So it's almost kind of that trial and error thing. So I respect any parent that says, "Hey, I want to do this natural thing." I'm cool with that. What I'm not cool with is the parents that say they don't want their kids immunized, and but they don't know the first thing to natural care. They don't know the first thing to vitamins. They don't take their kids to get vitamins. But you're talking about I'm against them getting these shots and these vaccines, or vaccinations. So that's the only thing I have an issue with. If you're gonna say my kid is not gonna get this, then know the story behind it and have some type of plan to protect your child.
People don't research.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Should be fine.
I'll take over. Yeah, I mean, I think that I'm for the immunizations and things like that. Anything to protect my child, I'm here for it. So I'm definitely fine with getting them. Again, I'm not a scientist to really understand what's working and what's not. But I'd rather not even play with that with my kids. I want them to be healthy. I want them to be safe. So I'm for it. So yeah. Sheena?
Man down, man down.
I don't know. My computer went crazy.
It's probably because the computer, like, yeah, she's talking BS. So yeah, let's get her out the
Right.
box. So when they come out, when they come out with this vaccination, if you had a child that was 5 and under, would you feel confident enough to let your child get vaccinated, Shay?
No.
No. Okay. Are you vaccinated?
I am. I'm vaccinated, but I will not be getting the booster.
Okay.
Yep.
Would you let your child get vaccinated, Jill?
Probably yes.
Okay.
It's just something I can't play with. Like if something was to happen, I would never be able to live with myself. So,
Gotcha. So, Sheena, question. We was talking about immunizations and your perspective on that, as it relates to getting your child immunized. You have those parents who are against immunization or just against modern medicine. Period. What's your perspective on that?
My take on it is it hasn't been any concrete information. And I feel like, when it first started, they said that children weren't allowed to be vaccinated. And then they turn around and say that it's okay that they are. I don't know. I just think that children, either way, they don't understand wearing your mask, washing your hands. When they go to school and things like that, they just know that they want to be with their friends. They're not, they're not even conscious of, the safety part of it. So I'm not sure whether we should be vaccinated or not, or should vaccinate the children or not. Uh, because it just seems like it's a case to case scenario. Different things have happened to different people, whether they were vaccinated, boosted, all of those things. And
What
Shay, I heard you say you were vaccinated, but you weren't going to do the booster. So many places now are saying you have to have your booster. So and it almost makes you feel like getting the vaccination wasn't it's obsolete, or it wasn't even
Yeah.
important because you have to have the booster now.
I'm okay.
I
Like,
don't know.
I'm
Okay.
not gonna go out the country. If that's a requirement for me to
Yeah.
go out of the country, then
Mhm.
I'm willing to not go out the country.
Yeah, not even out the country. This was Hawaii, so that's
Oh,
probably
okay,
different.
yeah.
But
Like,
yeah,
I'm just
so they're like, want to see your booster card now. So
yeah,
I don't know.
no.
I don't know. Someone says, I'm sorry, not someone. Hi, Elijah. Elijah Dassett says, I'll be honest about the vaccination. Even after my mother passed away, I still was against it, but I went and I did it, especially after seeing so many folks pass. I agree with you all on the subject. I just want us and our children to be safe. And I agree. I might not get boosted either because you're still being exposed to it. And then he says, speak on it, Sheena. So yeah, we're really sorry to hear about your mother,
Yes,
yeah.
most
Elijah. Really
definitely.
sorry about that. Thanks for sharing with us. We're
Monty
here.
said just because everyone can have kids doesn't mean everyone should have them. Well said.
Amen.
Michelle said we don't shove it down his throat or pressure them to go. The conversation is that it'll be your decision on whether you go to college, which is a great opportunity, but we are here for you. Okay,
That's true.
that's okay. And since we still talking about medicine, think about do you feel an hyperactive child need medication? They so quick to say if a kid is too hyper, let's subscribe Ritalin for them. What's your perspective on just giving your child? I don't want to call them test dummies, but what's your perspective on allowing healthcare clinicians to just say, "Hey, your child is this, and we should prescribe him this because he has ADHD." Shay,
Well, I don't agree with it. They told me my son was ADHD at one of his schools, and I didn't agree with it. I was like, he doesn't exhibit those signs that you're telling me about, and I'm not just gonna jump and go and get him on some medicine that he'll be dependent on for the rest of his life just because you decided that. So I took him to another school, and that teacher absolutely was totally against it. She said, "Your son does not have ADHD." I think that's the first thing they say about our black men, especially our young black men. Put them on medicine, something's wrong with them. And in all actuality, it's nothing wrong with them. So I'm totally against the whole concept of thinking that every kid that's hyper, might I say in quotations, kid, has ADHD. So I'm totally against that. Absolutely. Sheena?
No, I totally agree with you, Shay. I think it's a case to case basis. And what I've learned to understand, even with my self medication or any prescription, you're codependent upon it. So you start giving a child something to regulate their behavior, and then you look up and now they're 16 and now they're 26, and you're still having to do the same exact thing.
Amen. Yeah.
So, I don't agree with it. I don't have children, but if I had a son or a daughter, it's going to take more than just a couple evaluations for you to tell me I have to put my child on something that's going to them
Exactly.
down. They're being children.
Yes.
So I don't know. What about you, Gio?
Give them the pills. I'm just kidding. Now wait a minute, y'all have seen some of these kids are real. I don't know.
they need that
It,
pill.
it depends. It
Case by case,
depends.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
They need
case
some,
by case,
they
obviously.
need some milk.
But if I'm like just ready to cut my wrist, I might have to get the pills. No, but yeah, I wouldn't be so quick to put my kid on any type of medication like that. I think that's yeah. I get a couple opinions. Like I wouldn't that wouldn't be my first instinct to just kind of just throw pills at it. Like there's other natural things that we can do, organic stuff, something like there's other ways we can go about this than maybe something that harsh. So I would get a second, third, and fourth opinion. KJ, what about you?
Um, yes and no. I would get more than a first or second opinion, and if it concludes that that this is something that will better my child, I'm always going to do what's best for the kid. I'm not going to go against medicine, but I will most definitely have more than one and two valuations. I would need at least maybe three or four just to see. I do believe that a lot of parents are in denial about their children, and kids go through life not being treated for their mental illness, and it goes into something deeper and more serious. And I had the parent reacted sooner, earlier, they probably could have had saved the child from whatever they're going through, or but I do believe when you it's imperative that you pay attention to your children and their behaviors, and if they are acting differently, seek out professional help, like healthcare clinicians. That's what they're there for. Hey, I notice my child is doing this. um, I just want to get them checked out. And they say, okay, I think he's this. Okay, thank you for that. Go to another one. Hey, I think this child. You go to four, and three of them say this, and one, and if it's two and two, hey, we gotta go to a fifth one.
Say
You
somebody
So
know,
got to break the
I
tie.
feel like it's kind of a certain situation. Like if my kid's having breathing issues and I see and I notice that maybe their chest is lifting higher and I go to two opinions and they say, yeah, he's got asthma. Cool. So if I go and he's 3 and they tell me he has ADHD, he hasn't even developed a personality yet. So I'm really on that border of, even if I got a second opinion, I want, which McCullen was like 4. And he wasn't even old enough to really understand what he was. He was a baby. He was a only kid that was spoiled to death and just wanted to do what he wanted to do. So now I know for a fact he's never had ADHD. But just imagine at 4 if I had to put him on that medicine just because I went off of medicine, or the doctor, the teacher that told me that he was like, no. I think it's just kind of like, if I'm going to get an opinion, it's definitely going to be of something like that. It's definitely going to be a variety and it's going to be spread out. I just
hmm
don't think that I'm just going to go and do that immediately, because again, statistics speaking, we spoke about it, they put our black men on medicine like that more than any other race in this world,
yeah,
and we
and they
have
get
to
it.
be careful about
Yeah, we talked about that.
I
we
agree.
have to be careful about that.
Elijah said, right. I totally agree, Shay. Michelle said, it depends on what the diagnosis is, such as a child wetting the bed when they're not supposed to. It depends on the mental condition and the family
Yes,
history.
most
Yeah,
definitely.
that's very true. Thank you, Mickey. And Kevin Rod said, oh, I'm sorry, we missed this one. They don't even believe in drinking water regularly. I think we missed that one. Sorry,
We were
Kevin.
talking about when I said they don't want the immunizations.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Kevin. We missed that one. Forgive us, please. Trying to keep up here. Sorry about that.
um, so everybody think their child is just the prettiest. What they call your kid cute as a button. Is that what they say?
Or they can't do
Um,
no wrong.
they
Yeah,
can't do any
that's
wrong.
true. Yeah.
Mm,
So
not my
thinking about
baby.
right. So think about your child. So because everybody think their kid is the prettiest thing, they want to put them all on social media. Um, do you believe beauty pageants, modeling, or putting your kid on a social platform expose your child to harmful dangers?
Mm.
Geo.
I'm gonna say yes, and I think a lot of these beauty pageants is just the parents living vicariously through their children.
Mhm.
Those kids don't really have a real understanding of what it is to be in a beauty competition and what is beauty. Like, what does a 3-year-old child know about beauty? You know what I mean? And I think it's really like enforcing the idea that you have to put on makeup and all this stuff to be beautiful, and they're too young and impressionable to already have all that weighing on their shoulders to, you got to look great for this competition. If you don't win, then something's wrong with you or you're not good enough. And I just think it instills so much negativity over anything positive I can think of. Sheena?
I can agree with you in a lot of ways about that. And I think it would also, for me, it would have a lot to do with the personality of my child. And I say that because I look at Ti and Tiny's daughter. I think she's like 3. She can sing and she's comfortable with the camera. Someone like her, a baby like her, I would put in a pageant, but I would not push that on my child because some children just want to be kids and they just want to play and have fun. When you're in a pageant, you have a strict schedule and all kinds of things, you know. So I think it would depend on the personality of my child. If I think they're TV ready or they enjoy entertaining, then I would definitely start recording and seeing what avenue to send them in. I'm not sure if it would be a pageant or as far as commercial shoots or whatever, but definitely I would tap into it if it's something that I feel like they can't get away from. They love
I
it.
want to. I want to ask you, Shino, what would be a determining factor for you to know that they're ready for, that kind of mainstream stuff?
Exactly.
Like what's the difference between them just being talented and just want to sing around the house and do karaoke versus now we need to put you on Star Search or we need to what would you use to gauge that?
It would probably be the way that they bug me about it. If it's something that I
Okay.
feel like, somebody say, "Amen, Sheena." Okay, say that, Gio. I think it would all depend on the way that they bug me about it, or how often it comes up, or well, I wouldn't force it on them though. They would have to come to me and say, "Oh, mom, or whatever." It would have to be something that they're interested in. I wouldn't do that,
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know. What about you, Shay?
It would depend, like you said, on my kid if they showed signs that they was interested. And I think, like, you have kids who every time you pull out a camera, they like, or you're recording them and they doing their thing. That kind of gives you that idea that they're camera ready. So I'm totally cool with putting kids in pageants. I don't agree with the overdoing of the makeup.
Yeah.
But I'm cool with the pageants for girls and guys. I don't think it makes them any growner or put them in any danger, depending on the type of pageant it is and what you're doing in the pageant. I've seen like the swimsuits and the makeup and the wig. Yeah, you're doing too much. But a
Yeah.
cute little girl outfit, a cute little boy basketball, and he's walking, dribbling the ball. And yeah, I think it's totally fun. Have a good time with it if your kid gives you those signs that they want to do it and they're entertainers.
Right.
Yeah.
What about you, KJ?
I'm gonna say yes. I will most definitely.
Surprise.
Listen, I most definitely gonna. I would put my kids in pageants and modeling, and you have to understand, kids. It's only negative because us adults put that negative connotation on it. If
Mhm.
you enter your children in something, they may think it's for fun. I don't think that it's like I don't know a lot about it, but I will most definitely, if I think it's an opportunity and if I think it's a good shot for my child, I will put them in there. Now, how they respond to it once they in there will let me know. Okay, this will be the only one you do. Okay, I see this is not for you. But yeah, most definitely give them a shot. I mean, think about the Jacksons. They live
Yeah,
in
look how fucked up they
one.
are.
Okay, but listen, look at what Joe did though. He created this
What
this
did he
You
do?
talking
dynasty
about
for
them
them.
damn
What did he do
Jacksons?
but ruin
I mean,
them?
he
He
created
always
this
talking about
dynasty.
these damn Jacksons.
He created this dynasty for them. And had he not made them get up at 3, 4 in the morning singing, then they would have been still at
And
21
they all got
Jackson
mental
Street in that
issues.
little house.
They would have still been on 2120.
And MJ had a opioid addiction. Like, I mean,
Hello, keep going.
yeah, they're all. Ugh,
But
yeah.
listen, but listen to the
Here's
Next
people
us
who
back
did.
example.
with the Jacksons.
But no, you can't say blame that because there's
And
people
Michael
who
even said he never had a childhood. You know what I mean? Like, you've heard the man talk. Like,
More torture than anything for him.
but okay, so what about the other siblings?
What about him?
All you hear about Michael who just had this I mean Michael was different, I mean he had differences and stuff like that and I mean I don't think that the opioid addiction contribute to him being a child star.
It
I
wasn't his
mean
daddy making him get up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
I
And
don't think
beating them and everything else.
right.
but the
He had
siblings
Allegedly.
a freaking
Allegedly.
carnival in his yard because he never got to experience childhood.
I mean he was
Allegedly.
alleged, yeah,
And having
allegedly.
sleepovers with
Allegedly.
boys, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Okay.
He want more playtime. He didn't get when he was a kid.
Allegedly, I think Michael. Some kids is different. I mean, again, you can put your kids in the best schools, the best everything, and they turn out to be drug addicts.
Yes,
You
that
can
is
take
true.
a kid out of the inner city that been through so much, and they grow up to be a lawyer.
You,
So
that's true.
ultimately, it's individuality what that child want to do. You
Most
know,
kid stars though usually end up with some shit. Like,
I don't know any personal kid
baby,
stars. I
I
don't
will
even
give
know
you a
what the media
list.
tells
I will
me.
give you a list of
You
ODs
allegedly have
and
a
people who
list.
didn't make
Yes,
it.
Yeah.
It
definitely.
is very common that a lot of kids who are pushed into Hollywood and they deal with all these crazy things and producers and having to do freaky shit to try to secure the roles and like it's a mess, man. These older men and pedophiles. Ugh.
But I know people who's not famous just go through these opioid addictions and all of this stuff. And
True, true.
hey,
Life is hard.
I'm just playing devil's advocate. Hey, Michelle said Jackson 5. Bye, Kev.
Exactly. High
She said,
five,
You
Michelle.
better say that,
Right.
Gio. Let's let kids be kids. Parents definitely want their child to do what they didn't get a chance to do.
Most definitely. Let's go back up. Let's see what we missed.
Kevin Rod. So we're there. I just read Michelle's.
He said black boys are disproportionately diagnosed in kindergarten to have behavior related disabilities as a means to tame. I have to 100% agree with you, brother. I actually just did a study, and it was saying according to the mentalhealth.org, that 63% of black men are misdiagnosed, saying that they are schizophrenic, but in actuality they suffer from PTSD, not
Wow.
schizophrenia. And
It's
yeah,
sad.
that's a
Oh,
huge misdiagnosis. Elijah said it's the parents that makes it okay, especially the parents letting the kids twerk at parties, not the right reason, but make it a great reason. Okay, KJ, say that as well. Yeah, and thinking about that, and I get people who think their kids is cute, but I hear a lot of parents, their kids be dancing to WAP. Oh, get it, little baby, get it. And that baby don't know ABCs and D's. What are you? And some people may say, hey, I mean, they child, they don't know what they doing. But I think ultimately kids are sponges and they take everything that's put out, and what you put out is what they're gonna take in. I got a little baby nephew. I love him to death. My great nephew. For some reason, this little boy says shit, and he knows when to say it. I'm like,
he's so cute
he's
though.
he's amazing. I love this little but he'll do something, can't do. He be like shit, and I'm like, okay, me and my niece, we're gonna have a talk. But for some kids are just sponges, and it's probably her saying something. And kids
Hmm.
are just like sponges, so you have to be
Yeah.
careful what you say because um, they mimic you to the fullest. They ain't nothing but a sponge, and as you know, when a wet sponge get wet, it gets heavy. It absorbs all of it. You know what I mean? So
Elijah said, y'all all speaking facts. And he says, providing the opportunities for your child to explore isn't the issue. It's not knowing or paying attention to the signs and when to pull back.
exactly. Well said. Now let's get to the end of the show, but I want to talk about this last topic, you guys. Do you believe in uh, making your child pay toward the household? Say, for instance, they get a job at 16. Do you
Hmm.
believe that um, they should contribute, not really contribute, but show responsibility and say, hey, you're working. I know you're working at Kroger, but you should take $10 and buy tissue for the house. What's your perspective on that, Shay, since you had a son?
Absolutely negative.
Okay.
That is my kids' money. My responsibility as a parent is to care for my child and to provide them everything they need until they're an adult. I will talk to him about saving his money, but you already know I didn't make my son work. He didn't have a job until he got out of school because I already knew I instilled in him responsibility. Like I said, he's 18. He pays his own rent. The only thing he don't pay is his cell phone bill. I still pay that. He
Hmm.
buys his food. He gets to work. He gets home, and he doesn't have a car. And he's away at school right now. So I think that and I'm probably gonna get cussed out. I think those are for parents who are having issues with their pockets, that they make their kids pay for money, stuff in their household. Me personally, my kid didn't have to do that. And I don't think that if you're under the age of 18, that is the parent's responsibility to provide for that kid until they're 18 years old. But that's my opinion.
Hold on, let me duck under this desk because somebody might throw some damn tomatoes at you. Sheena, what you think about that?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to disagree this time, only because it's you have to teach children. I believe you have to teach them younger than 18 about
Exactly.
responsibility. McCullough turned out to be good, but for the most part, children are so entitled and spoiled and ungrateful at times. And so to show them that, when you get paid the things that they need to do with money, not saying that it has to be, like you said, maybe tissue or something, just to show responsibility. Of course, you can afford to pay for your own tissue as a parent, but you need to show children that life is not always going to be, everything that they want, and show them, uh, just responsibility and accountability for growing into an adult. By the time you're 18, you should already have established some type of credit score. So I wouldn't want to wait till my child is 18 to show them, to it just start showing them some responsibility. They would have been on my credit cards at 14 as a secondary signer. So by the time they're 18, they have a credit score. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yep.
But McCullough is a good kid. So that, I mean, he's a grown man now. But he turned out good. But for the most part, these children are exposed to so many things that allow them to be lazy, and just all the things I don't want my child to be. So I would have to disagree. I would want them to have some responsibility before 18. But what do you think, Gio?
I'm taking the whole check. No, I'm just kidding. Uh, what you need money for? I think that I would just make them pay for something like maybe their cell phone, things that they need and use. I think that kind of starts instills some responsibility. You want to have a phone, you want to text, you want to be on Snapchat, whatever. You got to pay your phone bill, and they'll want to be on those things. I believe my imaginary child, but they would want to be on that, and so they would see the incentive of working to be able to afford those things.
So
So
I got a question.
go.
Did you pay a bill when you were 16?
No,
Did you pay a bill when you were 16?
Are you
Who?
talking to me?
Tina.
I did. I had a cell phone bill.
Okay.
We
I
we,
didn't
we
pay any
learned
bills.
early. We
I had to pay a
learned
bill.
early.
I
Yeah.
paid.
I worked when I was 12.
I
I,
worked when I was 14.
I
I
had
didn't
paper.
have any bills. And I grew up responsible. I don't know. I don't know if making them pay a bill makes them responsible or just makes them know that they have to pay for stuff that they want. I don't know if it makes them
either way.
I didn't.
responsible.
I had to pay for things for the household. Like I can remember before I actually started paying rent, I had to buy toiletries, tissue, paper towel. At that time, I'm like, dang, this is a lot. But if you think about it, you, I mean, you buy tissue and paper towel once a month. That's nothing, But it did show me responsibility, and since I've been out on my own, I've been out on my own for been very. I think I moved out at 20, and so yeah, it showed me responsibility. So for me, my child will most definitely know what it's like to pay something. Now I would probably make them pay the phone bill, but I'll say, listen, hey, do the toiletries. That way, you can go to Sam's, get a pack of tissue, $20, paper towel, 20, or they don't even have to get that much, but at least they've done something and they know, well, guess what? Before I go buy these shoes or whatever I want, I have to buy tissue for the house. But you're teaching that child something. Um, so yeah, for me, yeah, you're gonna know some type of responsibility. And so yeah, so we that concludes episode 7. Is there any last nuggets that you guys want to drop? As you know, before we leave the people, our viewers, with like a golden nugget. So Shay, what you want to leave the people with?
Parenting has no book. There's no right or wrong way to do it. You do it the best way you can. You take the advice from people and you store it in your memory bank and you use it when you have to. And some stuff you throw away and some stuff you keep. But every parent is a good parent. however you decide to raise your children.
Hmm.
Don't question it. You do it the best way you know how to do it. And hopefully pray that everything that you instill in them, they grow up and retain it, and they instill it in their children, a positive energy. And I give out positive vibes to every parent that's on this show. And for the panels that don't have children, but y'all help out with your nephews and aunts, nephews and nieces, or doggies and cats. You are still perfect parents, okay? And
Oh,
the world loves you guys, and we definitely appreciate those who don't have children but help us raise our children, because it takes a village to raise one child.
that's beautiful, Shay. Thank you. We love you. Okay,
I
Michelle says now I'll say that the money he makes would be the for his extracurricular activities to teach him how to save.
Okay.
Elijah Dazit said I did, and it taught me responsibility, and my parents' pockets were hurting, and I was a semi spoiled, but my parents wasn't rich, so they also let me keep most of my money as well, so it didn't hurt me. Plus, I knew how to do my banking with my money, but I was a label whore and still a label whore. Don't judge me. But but I handles my business. Marcus said Marcus said I had to pay for gas and my car insurance. My mother made me pay for my gas, and I wanted it at my 18th senior year. So
She's
she
not
was
paying
not
for it.
paying for it. Yeah. I chose to work at 14 to afford the things that I wanted. It was it was not
Oh, sorry.
I'm oh
Oh.
Uh-oh. It was not given to me on purpose. I chose to not be a burden on my parents.
Oh,
Okay.
he's responsible. That's responsible of you, Marcus.
Yeah, very was. Thank you, Marcus. And Elijah said, I love the show, period. And that's all.
Why you have to do the? Why you have to,
I just imagine he
why you have
did
to do
that.
the? Why you have to do the
Period.
whole?
I don't know because
Period.
that's just the cool thing, That's the cool
Right, right.
thing.
What you
I,
gonna leave us with, Sheena?
I would just have to say love on your children,
Hmm.
whatever cards you were dealt with them. Children need love. I mean, even as an adult, I can think of some of the things that my mom may have said to me. Rest her soul. But she was really stern and straightforward. So she would say things, and I am 38 and still can remember some of the things that she said. Not saying that she meant any ill will behind it or she meant to hurt my feelings, but sometimes the things that you say and you speak, it can really hold a bearing on your children even in their adulthood. So just love on them and kind of try to be as gentle as you can in their growing pains and things like that. And but yeah, I love y'all.
We
Gio.
love you too.
Love you more.
Don't have them if you can't afford them. And just, I guess the main thing is just to be open minded and to not overreact when kids come to you with things that are foreign to you or you would never do. Just to keep an open mind, because the minute that you overreact and make them feel uncomfortable for them sharing something with you, the more they're gonna keep that inside and keep secrets from you, and it just becomes a shit show. So keep an open mind. KJ, take it
Wow.
all away.
I think you took the words out of my mouth. Just to add, I would say, as a pay attention to your child behaviors. Um, I think kids know, like I've been told, even though I'm not a parent, like if you have three kids, out of your three kids, which child needs more attention than the other. Just pay close attention to your child behavior. Be like Gio stated, be open minded with your child. If your child is different, don't necessarily go with one person tell you about your child. Seek other alternatives, get second opinions and stuff like that. Last, I just want to take my hat off to all of the single parents, the fathers, the mothers, um, because it's not easy
Mhm.
raising a child. I've been in both my friends and some family members' lives who are single parent, and hell, parents that's in a two-parent household, but you need that village, to surround your child. And so I just want to, just take my hat off to those who are truly great parents. As you guys know, this concludes the show. This was a great show. I appreciate all of you, the viewers, my panel, Shay, Sheena, and Gio. You guys know I couldn't do this without you guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Go to my YouTube channel, Bearded Man Chronicles. please subscribe. More importantly, hit the notification bell so that you guys
Ding.
right, so that you guys get notified when I upload new content. I want to say I love you all. Make sure you guys have a good night. Until next time, and we out of here.
Bye,
Peace.
guys. Thank you.